The Vios has been a monumental success for Toyota here in Malaysia. In 20 years, over 500,000 units have been delivered to customers. And in our relatively small market, that is a huge achievement. But yet, over the last couple of years, it has been the Honda City that has sat at the top of the class. With this all-new 4th generation Vios, Toyota fully aims to recapture its throne. So let's see what this all-new model is all about. Let's start with the prices and variants first. There are now just two variants available for the Vios here, the Vios E for 89,500 ringgit and the Vios G for 95,500 ringgit. The base spec Vios J has been completely discontinued and there are good reasons for that. Number one, not many people bought them to begin with, and more importantly, with Perodua pushing the boundaries of what to expect in terms of specs and equipment for cars under 100,000 ringgit here in Malaysia, there's just no place left for a low spec Vios anymore. Choosing between the Vios E and the G is very simple. You can just forget the E even exists to begin with. To me, it's just there purely to dampen the shock of the price increase for the Vios. So now Toyota can still say the range starts from under 90,000 ringgit instead of just saying the new Vios 95,000, take it or leave it. For a mere difference of 5,000 ringgit, that's just a couple of bucks split over 5, 7 or 9 years of loan. You just lose out on way too many things. You get smaller wheels, less chrome on the outside, no leather on the seats, the steering wheel, and all those surely cost more than 5,000 ringgit to begin with. And yet you also lose out on one thing that you cannot retrofit later on: rear disc brakes with electronic parking brake. That to me is just way too many reasons for you to just go for the G instead of the E. In terms of looks, I'll be honest, the first time I saw photos of this car, I wasn't quite sold on it. It just looks a little bit cheap, too much like a budget car designed for Daihatsu rather than a proper full-blown Toyota. And there is no hiding that on the car itself. Under the bonnet, there is a plaque that says this is designed by Daihatsu instead of Toyota. But you know what? In person, in real life, this car does look a lot better than I expected. The sharp lines looks rather sporty and modern at the same time, and it definitely looks better than the rather awkwardly shaped Honda City. But in the class, I still rank the Nissan Almera at the top in terms of looks. At the very least, this is a huge step forward compared to the disappointment of the last version of the 3rd generation Vios. Highlights at the front include the rather interesting L-shaped LED DRLs, big gaping grille finished in gloss black, and the functional holes on the side of the front bumper. This is similar to what BMW calls the air curtains, although Toyota just couldn't help themselves and label Vortex generator on it. I think that looks a little bit cheap. Around the side, you've got big 17-inch alloy wheels, which are the same size as the old Vios GR Sport, but this time it's been fitted with rather decent tires, Continental Premium Contact C. It's nice to see cars in the lower end of the market under 100,000 ringgit finally being given premium tires. Around the back, as mentioned, the Vios G gets rear disc brakes and electronic parking brake inside. The Honda City has got the same tech as well, but that's only reserved on the much more expensive CT Hybrid. Now, as for styling, the Vios gets this rather nice looking squared off LED taillights, which is smoked with LED sequential turn signals as well. And you've also got this fully blacked out boot lid spoiler and a rather nice body kit with an integrated center diffuser. Now, usually I'm not a big fan of body kits. They look rather tacked on most of the time, and we've seen some horrors from Toyota here in Malaysia. But this time around, it looks rather well integrated. I kinda like it. But what's unique for the Vios this time is the new fastback design. You've got a much more sloping roofline at the back here, an extra quarter window, and a really short rear deck. Now, this has been a trend that a lot of traditional sedans have been following lately. You've seen it on the latest Civic and even the top-of-the-range Lexus LS. On this car, I'm kind of torn whether to like it or not, but I guess it's kind of unique as well. What do you think? Comment below. On the inside, it becomes way too obvious that this is based on the Daihatsu DNGA platform, which of course, as you know, is shared across multiple Prodwa models, including the cheapest Asia. You've got the exact steering wheel just with the Toyota logo, the exact same digital instrument cluster, same gear knob as well. But having said that, I think Toyota has done a really good job in trimming up the cabin to make it feel far more expensive than its Prodwa cousins. For instance, you've got this really nice leather covered padding over here that extends to the sides and even the door panels as well. You've got a nice soft padding for the driver's knee over here and a much better design of a center armrest on this car. And then you've got a big center screen as well, with the party piece being completely wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So you no longer have to hook up a cable onto your phone with it hanging over here. That looks a little bit ugly. Now finally you can have a fully wireless experience. There is also a wireless charger for your mobile phones down here, but yeah, to be honest, it looks a little bit like an afterthought if you were to ask me. Beyond that, you've got dedicated controls for the 64 color ambient lighting system, although it doesn't really look all that nice if you were to ask me. You've also got full LED lighting for the interior, a nice place to put your sunshades over here. So overall, this does feel a lot more expensive, a lot more premium than even the top-end Prodwa Ativa and Alza. As for the downsides, even at these higher prices, the Vios E still comes without telescopic steering adjustment. It's here on the G but not on the E, and the speaker count starts from just 4 on the E, 6 on the G over here. Even more reasons to not even look at the base E model. And one last thing, even on the top spec G over here, you still don't get a vanity mirror for the passenger side. That is just a bit too cheap, I think. The switch to the DNGA platform has meant that the Vios has grown in pretty much all directions, and that includes a much longer wheelbase than before as well. The Vios has never suffered from a lack of legroom, and this one is no different, and if anything, it's even more generous now. Just look at the amount of legroom that I have left. However, I am only 168 centimeters tall, and even I struggle to sit straight in the back here. As it is, my hair is already touching the headliner. If you are taller than me, which most of you are, you will struggle to fit in the back here at all. So most of you will have to, slouch down a little bit to get a bit more headroom, and that is fine in terms of legroom, as you can see over here. But in terms of thigh support, yeah, this is less than ideal. It's less comfortable than a car like this should be in the back here. You also don't have any rear center armrest, but you do get rear aircon vents for the very first time in a Toyota Vios. Below that, you've got a pair of USB chargers, both a USB-A and a USB-C, but surprisingly, you get none at the front. That is a really weird omission for a car that is brand new for 2023. Another feature that is missing in a weird way is a foldable rear seat. As it is, the rear seats are just fixed like this. You cannot fold them down to fit in longer items. Now, Toyota says they've done this because of extra comfort. By giving fixed seats, they can make the seats slightly thicker, slightly more comfortable. But yeah, I think most Vios owners will just have this one single car in their household, so lacking that flexibility to fit in longer items is a bit of a sore subject, I think. The boot itself is not too bad at 475 litres, although that itself is a bit of a downgrade compared to the over 500 litres in the old Vios. Another disappointment comes from the lack of a spare tyre underneath the floor. Instead, you just get a tyre repair kit. I think most Malaysians would have preferred to have an extra spare tyre. Under the hood is the same 1.5-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine with dual VVT-i as before, although technically this here is the 2NR VE version of the engine instead of the 2NR FE in the old Vios. But they're practically the same engines, just that this one is designated for Daihatsus, whereas the FE are meant for proper Toyotas. In this car, the engine makes 106 PS and 138 Newton meters of torque. That is actually 1 PS and 2 Nm less than in the old car, but with the change to the NGA, this is a now much lighter car than before. Compared to the old Vios, this is lighter by up to 110 kilograms, so that means despite having less power, this is far better in terms of performance as well as fuel consumption as well. Despite losing out by almost 20 PS compared to the Honda City, with the lower weight, this has practically the same level of performance as the Honda, which says a lot about this new Vios. You've also got the new DCVT transmission that we've known from more recent Perodwas, although in this case Toyota has set 7 pre-programmed ratios that you can play with via the pedal shifters here for the first time on a non-GRS Vios. Fuel consumption wise, Toyota claims that this can average over 19 kilometers per litre. That is pretty impressive. In terms of safety, the Vios gets 6 airbags as standard, which is actually 1 less than before, and a full suite of active safety systems. Now, over the usual AEB, blind spot monitor, and a full 360-degree cameras as before, the latest Vios G also adds on adaptive cruise control, lane keep control, level 2 semi-autonomous driving, and so on to make it competitive against the rest of the market. Having said that, this still uses just the 2 cameras up top, which is similar to what we've seen on the latest Perodwa ASA 3.0, so don't expect it to be as consistent or as smooth as more advanced system that uses both a camera and a radar system. With this one, is the same as a Myvi, really. So anyway, there you have it, the 95,000 ringgit all-new 4th generation Toyota Vios here in Malaysia. To me, I think it looks really good, both outside, on the inside. The specs are really good as well, although the lack of practicality on this car can be a bit of a sore point. So what do you think of this car? Let me know in the comment section below. We'll be driving this car for a full review very soon, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.